And good morning. Welcome to a special edition of the Out and About Show on 1590 KVGB 97.7 FM. It is Focus on Stafford County today. We have an opportunity to get you caught up on what's going on in Stafford County, kind of a review of 2017 that we're about to move out of today. It's a special holiday edition of Focus on Stafford County today. Carolyn Dunn in with us, Stafford County Economic Development Director and Stafford County Eco Devo Program Director, Ashley Bevan. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
So
Happy New Year.
Is this an exciting? I know it is. How many toys are we going to have under the Christmas tree this year? Are we?
Under my tree?
Yes, Ashley.
I tried to limit them. My daughter has plenty of toys already, but I know Grandma's spoiling hers. So
that's what they do best, isn't it?
Yep.
And yeah, we kind of at our house we don't have toys under there anymore. Again, unless you want to call video games stuff like that. I guess we still get into those things. But the year's coming to an end. Wow, coming up New Year's Day, and it'll be 2018. And I guess we're going to kind of look back on 2017. Man, Ashley put this together, and you guys had a few things going on this year, Carolyn.
I think there's a lot of things we can look back on and be thankful for all of the support from a lot of different places and just the progress we made through the year.
One of the things that I found out doing these shows with you guys over the last 5 years or so is you have a lot of things going on, but this from start to finish sometimes is a long process. A lot of things take place. You have to make this happen before this happens, and then this will happen. And if you get this done, then this, and this can happen. That's kind of where you are in 2017 with a lot of different things.
We did have a lot of things that led to the next step of progress. Well, do you want to jump into the idea of our grocery store? That's been the biggest example of that. I look back, and a year ago at this time, we were getting our first grant for the grocery store that paid for a lot of the legal costs. It was considered a planning grant, but it was from Sunflower Foundation and paid for some of the things that we did through the year that led to the next thing that made it feasible. We also received some key contributions from individual and corporate donors last year at this time, and that allowed us to purchase land that gave us an actual site to develop and that gave us what we needed to be able to set up a tax increment finance district. That was a big piece of the puzzle. So, yeah, looking back over the year, once we had the land, we again had something we could actually work on developing. We established a letter of intent with White's Food Liner. That led to us being able to set up the tax increment finance district with the city of St. John. That was a legal process. And because we didn't have a lot of people in our environment that had done it before, it was a bit of the learning that goes along with the actual, process of voting and writing legal documents. It was kind of coming to some understanding of how this would work. The new sales tax and the new property tax from the development would go back into paying down the debt on that development. In addition to that, the city of St. John committed some of the local sales tax funding that was implemented in late 2016. So we will have some additional support to the debt repayment over the next 10 years. All of that kind of stuff led to us really having a good basis to make an application to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. And that was the big game changer, as one of our committee members said. I guess I should even, talk about that during the spring of the year, there was a lot of work being done by a group of citizens that wanted to help guide the decision-making in this. And we give a lot of credit to the people that were on that committee. And if I start naming names, I'll forget somebody.
Right.
So I'm just going to say the committee did a lot of work through the spring that helped determine, where we were going to locate. We had a feasibility study done. The grocery committee recommended to the city of St. John they share that cost. We did, and it led to a clear decision that it was better to build a new building than to work with the existing building. So all of that kind of led to that idea of, again, applying for the major game-changing funding.
This whole process, to me, watching Stafford County Eco Devo and the community and Stafford County go through this has been, you climb a hill and then you get to the top of the hill. Okay, well, we get over that one. Then we've got another hill to climb. Then we get up on that one. And then we climb. That's pretty steep. Okay, we get up there. Okay, well, we get another one. Okay, we got to climb this one. But then when you climbed Mount Grant, because I remember that day when you found out that you were going to get that, that you can kind of look out and see the valley a little bit. Okay, this is where we're kind of...
There's still things that you have to work through, but I don't think we would have been able to progress. Well, we wouldn't have. I don't think without that piece of funding in place, we wouldn't have been able to carry out the plan that we all felt like was the best choice, but we wouldn't have had enough resources to do it without that major piece of funding. So again, there's a lot of places that I think will kind of jump on the bandwagon once they see that it's likely to happen. So, that solidified funding from Network Kansas, and we also had the local Oddfellows Lodge has committed to some support for the next 10 years, and that kind of came at this more ending stage of things. Golden Belt Telephone is sponsoring an application that we are submitting to the U.S. Department of Agriculture that would give us a zero interest loan on a portion of this. So that kind of, just makes the project a little stronger. But I feel like our loan application is also a stronger application because of all the funding that's already in place. Kansas Corn Commission is supporting the project with an initiative they call the Better Blends Initiative. It essentially pays for 90% of the cost of fuel pumps for stations that are utilizing ethanol blends. So we'll be offering a range of ethanol blends. And again, Kansas Corn Commission has even played a part in this by offsetting some of the costs of getting that fuel infrastructure installed. And the other thing is that we've got 2 ethanol plants just adjacent to Stafford County. It's going to be a way that we're going to be merchandising a grain product that is grown in Stafford County.
How do you find out about these things? Kansas Corn Commission, just call up, hey, this is Kansas Corn Commission here. We want to help you out with your grocery store down there.
Carolyn has a lot of connections.
I was going to... you just named off all these different things that you had to partner with and also network with. And to sell your idea with. It's amazing. The Corn Commission people are fine folks.
They are. Well, and
it's a long way to get to their office, but where they're located.
We have representation here locally. I don't remember if it was that. A little secret, I did serve on the Kansas Corn Commission.
Did you now?
In 2000 to 2006, I think it was. So I'm generally familiar with the folks there and the programs they have to offer, and that probably... I don't know, that helped me know where to go, I guess. But they're eager to support a project in an area that they don't already have a project going on. And again, we have farmers here that are growing the corn and the milo that goes into the ethanol plants. And that's what the purpose of the initiative is there to do, is promote more usage of ethanol and support our local farmers.
And, we just named off all the people that have partnered with this. So the $1 million question is, as we sit here before this January 1st of 2018, the one that's coming here. So what's going on right now? Where are we at?
Well, to your point of there's often one more thing, one of the requirements that we have with some of the federal funding and the USDA application that we have pending for loan funding is that they're doing they're requiring us to due diligence that what they're funding isn't in conflict with any other federal initiative that's out there. So we've had to contact, here's a list of things for the USDA program in particular. We've had to give notice to the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes, the Osage Nation, the Wichita and affiliated tribes, which includes Wichita, Keiche, Waco, Stafford, and Tawakoni. And essentially what they're just doing is making sure that, again, what we're proposing to do doesn't disrupt another federal program. That one, I feel like people have really latched onto the idea of the Indian tribes. It's not the one that I consider the biggest hurdle. Like, for example, we've also had to contact the Kansas State Historical Society to ensure that the building we're tearing down isn't something of historical significance. Well, it doesn't mean that the building has significance. It means that we just have to go through the process of them saying, nope, it doesn't, tear it down. And that's what they did within 3 days. The Historical Society was easy.
Okay.
And I don't anticipate that any of the tribes are going to cause any reason for us to delay this. Some of the other ones are a little harder. So, for example, Kansas Department of Health and Environment, that one did trigger an asbestos inspection, and we do have asbestos in the existing building that we're having to mitigate before we can tear it down. Doesn't mean we can't do it. It just means we have to go through a process of having a certified asbestos contractor do the extraction of the asbestos in the prescribed way. And I was really hoping we'd be able to get it down by January 1. And it's not going to happen, especially now holidays and so forth. It's not going to happen before January 1, but I think it'll happen very soon thereafter. We've also had to notify Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism. That's kind of related to wetlands. I don't anticipate we're going to have too much going on there. Kansas Department of Transportation, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and the City of St. John. So some of that has to do with things like our drainage for the facility is going into the ditch that's owned by KDOT. Well, we have to make sure that we're not going to flood the parking lot with too much water draining into the ditch at one time. And again, it's not that it's anything that's telling us we can't proceed. It's just the process we have to go through to kind of finalize planning that we didn't totally invest in early stages.
Right.
You know, it's not that you don't think it's important. It's a matter of how much do you want to invest in civil engineering, for example, before you're pretty certain that the project is going forward. At this point, we're investing in the civil engineering, and they're doing all the work to tell us how we need to design the drainage again so that we're not flooding the parking lot during a heavy rain.
So there was another hill.
Expending funds right now. We're doing pre-construction work that relates to civil engineering, and I didn't know that civil engineering means basically dirt work.
Okay, well.
So that, for what it's worth, the civil engineering means a lot of the dirt stuff. Structural engineering, mechanical. You know, we had designed plans that showed how much equipment we were going to need in the store, for example, but not to the degree that says, okay, this electrical box needs to be able to accommodate X amount of load to
run this many coolers.
Coolers. It takes an engineer to really kind of hone that plan down, and that's the stuff that's been going on for the last 6 weeks. And then an architect that basically reconciles all this stuff so that the plans that the structural engineer had for the footings of the building, for example, don't conflict with the guy that designed the plumbing, and so that there's a drain in a place that you can't put it because of the footers of the building. I don't know, that's just a random example, but you kind of need the architect to reconcile all that, and that's what's happening right now. Again, I hope we'll be moving dirt sometime in January. We do need to finalize final bids based on all those details. We should still be targeting that time frame of early fall for a new store being open.
So Andy's asbestos removal hasn't come by to clear out the store yet. That's
in all
that's
seriousness,
interesting.
those are some of the things that I think about sometimes that probably represent business opportunities for people locally, because we're going to Wichita to get those services. You know, we had to have an inspector, and the inspector is separate from the company that does the removal. And those are two things that if you're developing an expertise in that, you probably go to where the business is, and it probably doesn't matter so much where you're located as an entrepreneur. And we actually, I kind of was expressing some of these thoughts to one of the career counselors in Stafford County. And she says, I think I've got some people in mind that I should talk to about this. So I don't know. I mean, sometimes it just by the nature of engaging in different kind of activity, you start to realize, oh, here's some voids that I don't know why we couldn't fill here.
Well, I've learned a lot. I mean, that makes sense that the asbestos removal company is separate from the asbestos inspector.
Apparently, that hasn't always been the case historically.
Oh,
though.
really? Okay.
Yeah,
it's all good. We got her all taken care of. Everything.
Oh, it's really bad. You're going to have this removed.
Yeah,
and then,
you find out there's some good reasons why. So the kind of the update on the grocery store, and that, of course, was a big focus last year. But the other things that have come along with that, the pharmacy.
Right.
So,
right.
And we have a pharmacy now.
We do. They are open. So that's exciting in our new incubator building. And it was nice to have that being utilized right away after we purchased
Which,
it.
again, another idea, the incubator that would bring a potential business to which had no idea you thought at the time, well, okay, that would house the pharmacy until the grocery stores.
Yeah. And then we're working on the pipeline of what might happen after the pharmacy moves to the new facility, but I'll save that for a future program.
Okay. Ashley, you got some things for us here today?
Well, Economic Development partnered with the County of Stafford at the end of 2016, and in December was notified that they were awarded a $100,000 moderate income housing grant from KHRC, Kansas Housing Resources Corporation, to provide $25,000 down payment assistance to 4 income-eligible individuals or families to construct new homes within any towns in Stafford County. And we do actually have one house that's near completed in St. John. We have our second slot that will be filled and started in 2018. So we do have 2 slots still open for that program. Again, you can construct a brand new home within city limits of any of our towns in Stafford County. We do have 3 floor plans available to choose from, all similar in size, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, full unfinished basements, but roughed in plumbing and egress windows for someone to finish that basement. In the spring, we had 6 Stafford high school students compete in our second annual entrepreneurship competition. That was actually hosted out in Jetmore. Hodgman County did that. And we're already geared up for 2018. We have around 10 students, I think, signed up. We actually have kids from St. John that will be participating this year. And that's exciting. 5 of those St. John students are working as a class on our new pizza business that will be open in January of 2018. So that's exciting. But we went in and presented in the fall semester and said, you guys are already working on a business plan for this pizza business. Why not go to an entrepreneurship competition and win some money for that? You're already doing the work. So we're excited. I'm excited for that we're getting more kids. Yeah.
And then to think back on 2017 as part of the, the things that I'm thankful for and the accomplishments of the year, we had 2 students that placed at the state level last year. They won.
We talk about the Stafford County sports teams a lot. How about our entrepreneurship teams?
Yeah.
Pretty strong.
Exactly.
Pretty strong.
These are students that I think that maybe aren't the ones that participate in the sports program. So to give them an outlet that they can really excel in, I think is a benefit in that sense too.
And it was fun to watch them develop as individuals through all of this. They're just willing to talk more in public and just a lot of personal development that they got out of competing in these competitions. It was fun. And the 2 individuals from Stafford that actually made it to 2 different state competitions, one in Hayes and one in Manhattan, by the time we were done in the spring, they won about $2,000 in prize money. So they were pretty excited.
They got $10.99.
Yeah, they did.
They got $10.99.
Not accounting world.
Yeah, there you go. So this is for an actual business that's going to open.
No, it was a business concept that they presented.
Looking to this year, though, the students in St. John that are working on the pizza business, that is an actual business.
Yes.
Starting that is kind of being fostered by, what has been the Lucille Hall Museum. They've actually developed a subsidiary now that is a nonprofit specific to developing the pizza business there in a building that the museum owns. But I think this will be a way for us to generate a new business in town. Again, kind of give some hands-on experience in running a business to students. I think people are excited about the renovations that are happening in the downtown area. The building's gotten a real facelift this year. So we're happy about that.
Tell me about the partnership with Wichita State.
Earlier in the year, and that was part of our work with Sunflower Foundation, we partnered with Wichita State University's Community Engagement Institute, and we formed a design team for the city of St. John. And I'm not going to name names either because I'm sure I'd forget one, but we had representatives from the school and the city, our office, K-State Research and Extension. We all came together for a couple meetings with Kevin Baumhoff from WSU. And we're forming ideas. What's our strategic plan to grow the city of St. John by 300 residents? What do we have to do to get to that point?
She mentioned the Sunflower Foundation. That was the grant that paid for some of our planning work. Mm-hmm. And some of that was an extension of our feasibility study for the grocery store. And, we know that we're in a challenging environment to start a new business that's retail oriented because we're just not a lot of population. you could say that our food challenge is at its heart a population decline challenge. And so the point of the work with WSU is, we had the grocery study say, look at two scenarios. Here's what we see today, but what if your town grew by 300 residents? How better could this be? And it's not really just the grocery store, it's everything. It'd be the auto parts store and the fuel stations and, the school. Everything would benefit, but we can kind of quantify a little more specifically how we would project that this business would benefit. So, St. John, how are we going to get there? That's what a lot of this feasibility work was for. How are we going to get to a point of growing as opposed to declining?
You got to start an initiative somewhere.
Yep.
And Wichita State's a pretty good place to start. Are we coming up? Was it 2 years ago that
February
the grocery store
2016.
closed?
Yep, almost 2 years ago.
Wow. A few things have happened since then, right? Well, as we're getting close here to some other things you want to make sure to mention, and you talked about some of the people who have helped. We can't start talking individual names or people like that because we'll leave somebody out. But the communities in Stafford County certainly have come together for some of these initiatives, and that's got to warm your heart a little bit, I guess, if you're out there trying to convince people to do this and do things that maybe they're uncomfortable with a little bit.
Right. No, I hope it's a muscle we're kind of learning to flex. That the next project will understand a little more about, okay, well, why we have to take the initial step, why we may need to invest in the site that we can actually develop for the next business, and how having a little of our own skin in the game first kind of sets the stage for others to support what we're doing. Maybe it's also a muscle that says we may need to look at more public-private partnerships to kind of incentivize business creation, especially when we're talking ones of a more substantial scale. We may need to be a little scrappy and maybe do things a little different than Wichita does or whatever to make our place the preferred location.
As we move into 2018, obviously the grocery store will be continued to be on the front burner. But as you look ahead, any new initiatives or anything that you're considering right now, or would like to mention at this point, or we'll just surprise everyone later? So you didn't think I was going to ask that,
I
did
didn't.
you?
I have one that I feel like is just a little bit preliminary to start talking about on the radio, but I will be talking about it in another couple months if we head down that path.
Okay, all right, that's fair enough. It is a wrap-up show. We're not going into looking ahead here too much right now. Ashley Bevan and Carolyn Dunn in with us here on the program. Ashley, how long have you been with EcoDevo now?
I started June 1st of 2015.
Gosh, this girl's got some stuff done, Carolyn.
She does.
I mean, yeah, pretty good team.
It is a great team. I'm thankful for it every day. There's the thing I should be talking about and being thankful is just this work environment that is, I give credit to our board of directors too for being ones that have just set a tone in our board environment where there's a sense of trust, a sense of willingness to try something. And it's a great work environment. And day to day, I so appreciate everything that Ashley brings to our office.
Well, it is going well. And guys, appreciate you coming up here today. Carolyn, the Kansas Corn Commission, right? Mm-hmm. Early 2000s. Mm-hmm. Did you help come up with what was his name? Corn Man or whatever, the guy in the corn suit?
No, that was already, I think, around before then. But I do remember we had a car about that time. And those wraps were kind of new. Okay. And so that wild-looking car was something of my era. If you're thinking about, corny promotional things.
Yeah, I was trying to get with the Corn Commission to book Corn Man, or what was he, the Colonel Kid, or what?
Oh, Captain Colonel. Is that right? I'm not sure. I can't remember for sure.
Well,
but it's another good group, really. There's some really good folks on that board, too.
Guys, Happy New Year, and we'll talk to you in January for the latest grocery store update, okay?
Yes.
Okay. Carolyn Dunn with us, also Ashley Bevan here on Focus on Stafford County on 1590 KVGB 97.7 FM. Stay tuned, news coming up next. Have a great day.